Good morning, dear students. A warm welcome to all of you for our first online session in the second term for the subject Science and Technology Section A. I hope your Diwali vacations went on in a very beautiful manner. At the same time, you have taken care of your health. At the same time, you have taken care of your studies also from time to time. Before the vacation, we have completed with the explanation of chapter number 4, effects of electric current, and we had little bit started with the discussion of its textual exercise. So let us begin with the discussion right from question number 1. I request all of you to keep a textbook in your hand and a pencil for marking down the answers. So let us begin with question number 1, page number 60. Tell the odd one out and give the proper explanation. Whatever you are selecting the odd one out, you have to give its explanation. Question number 1, 2, 3 were over before the vacation. So I will quickly have a glance at these questions. I will not waste much of the time in its explanation once again. Fuse wire, bad conductor, rubber gloves and generator. The correct answer is generator because it produces current whereas the others are safety measures against current. This was discussed, so I'll go a little bit fast. Next one, voltmeter, ammeter, galvanometer and thermometer. Quickly looking at it, you come to know thermometer because other three are used in an electric circuit whereas thermometer is used to measure the temperature. Apart from this, if you have a proper explanation for your odd one, you can provide your own explanation. The next one, loudspeaker, microphone, electric motor and magnet. Very quickly you can say it is magnet because all the others are related to magnetic effect of electric current. With this, question number 1 discussion is over. Let us move towards the next one, that is the brief question. Explain the construction and working of the following. Draw a neat labeled diagram. Means you have to write its construction, working and also provide the diagram. As I have told you earlier also, once again I would like to highlight over here that in this case you will not get such a type of question in the exam. Either you will get its construction and working, or you will get the diagram and the working to write, or you will get the construction and diagram, because all the three are not possible for 5 marks. So the first part is construction, electric motor. All of you refer page number 56. So construction, as I have told you, you have to write in your own words looking at the diagram. The first part in it is armature coil. Second is strong magnet. Third is split ring commutator. Fourth is brushes and fifth is battery. And for each part you have to provide with the explanation. If you speak about armature coil, a large number of turns of insulated copper wire wound on iron core in rectangular shape. So this is your armature coil. Then strong magnet, you can write in your own words again. This coil is placed between the two pole pieces of a strong magnet which provides magnetic field. Third one, split ring commutator. The two ends of the loop are connected to the two halves X and Y of the split ring. You can mark in the textbook. Fourth is brushes. Two stationary carbon brushes E and F are used to press the commutator. And this is very important, battery. The battery which is present in electric motor, it supplies the current to the armature coil. So this is the construction part. Now working, I have written here, refer page number 56. You can see in the textbook on page number 56, below the diagram you have the entire paragraph which is working. When the circuit is completed, the current flows in the branch AB of the loop. So working I had already discussed with you. The entire paragraph you can shorten up the working and write in your own words. And diagram is very clearly given in the textbook, figure 4.13. of electric motor. Now while drawing the diagram of electric motor, be very careful. Your labelings should be armature coil, then you have to show the magnets, then you have to show brushes, split rings, and very important is battery. If battery is not shown, then you will get a 0 for the diagram of electric motor. Whereas exactly opposite in generator, if you show a battery in generator, you will get a 0. Question number 2, second part, B, electric generator. Here also construction, working and diagram. So construction, I have just mentioned the points of the construction. Armature, strong magnets. Here it is not split ring but conducting rings, that is R1 and R2, and brushes, carbon brushes. So here there is no, you can say, battery, and each and every point you can explain as it is explained in the electric motor. Then while drawing the diagram, you have to be very careful with the labelings. Be very careful with the arrows. See, the flow of arrows is indicating the conducting rings. You have to take care, R1, R2. There in electric motor it is a split ring. One ring is split into 2 halves. So there you should be very careful. And regarding the working, you have the working in your textbook on page number 6060. The very first paragraph is your working. So I have written the working in short in my own words. You can modify the answer by referring the paragraph on page number 60. When the armature coil A, B, C, D, it rotates in the magnetic field provided by strong magnets, it cuts the magnetic lines of force. Thus, the changing magnetic field produces induced current in the coil. Then you can write about this induced current, the correct current flow. It is applying Fleming's right hand rule. Then you can show how the current flows from B2 to B1. Induced current produced here is of alternating nature, and such a current is called alternating current, and generator is called as AC generator. Now this is the working in my own words. You can write it by taking the help of first paragraph on page number 60. Question number 3 is an open-ended question. Electromagnetic induction means. They have asked us what it means. 4 options will be given to you. It can be asked as an MCQ in the exam. First option is charging of an electric conductor. Second is production of magnetic field due to a current flowing through a coil. Third one, generation of a current in a coil due to relative motion between the coil and the magnet. Or fourth one, motion of the coil around the axle in an electric motor. Now looking at all the 4 options, you come to know electromagnetic induction means what? In short, we can say that the process by which a changing magnetic field in a conductor, it induces a current in another conductor, that is electromagnetic induction. So charging of an electric conductor, not correct. Production of magnetic field due to a current flowing through the coil, not correct. Here you can say generation of a current in a coil due to relative motion between the coil and the magnet. Let us look at the answer. Yes, C is the correct answer. So it can be asked as an MCQ in the exam. So such type of questions, textual, you have to prepare. Next is question number 4. I have already told it is omitted because it is the difference between AC generator and DC generator. When DC generator, that part is removed from your syllabus, it will not be asked. Question number 5 also I have told you. Which device is used to produce electricity? Describe with a neat diagram. Electric motor, wrong. Galvanometer, wrong. Electric generator, yes, it is the correct answer. And then describe with the diagram. Already this is described in question number 2. So you have to write about the AC generator. Let us move to question number 6. Very, very important question. How does the short circuit form and what is its effect? You have to mention about the short circuit and what are the adverse effects of this short circuit. So all of you will refer page number 49, last paragraph of the page. Page number 49 of your textbook, last paragraph. First, you have to explain about short circuit. What is short circuit? How does it form? How does it take place? So you know that if a live wire and a neutral wire comes in contact with each other, then short circuit takes place. This should be your first point. See, it is given on page number 49, last paragraph. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th line you can see, just read the line. Due to a fault in the equipment, or if the plastic coating on the live and neutral wire gives way, then the two wire comes in contact with each other, large current flows, and that is short circuit. So first point is when live wire and neutral wire, they come in contact with each other. Second, how it is caused? If the plastic coating of the wire is spoiled or there is fault in the equipment, then only live wire and neutral wire can come in contact with each other. What happens in a short circuit? The resistance of the circuit becomes very small and huge amount of current flows through it. You can see the points are given in the last paragraph. Only the thing is you have to modify the points. Don't write it as it is given in the textbook. Apply a little bit knowledge of the different concepts which you have studied right from the 9th standard and form the answer. You have studied about the resistance of the circuit last year in chapter number 3 in section A, current electricity. So that you have to apply here. Now what is its effect? As you all know that short circuit is very dangerous. Your appliances and all, they get burnt. So that are its effects. A large amount of current flows through the circuit producing heat. And if any inflammable material such as wood, cloth, plastic, etc. exists around that place, then it can catch fire. Both these points are given on page number 49. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, last line. You can see a large amount of current flows through it producing heat. That is the first point. Immediately you can continue marking. If any inflammable material such as wood, cloth, plastic, etc. exists around that place, it can catch fire. Apart from this, any other effect which you know, the electrical appliances can get burnt due to more amount of current in the circuit and all, you can add the points on your own. Doesn't mean that whatever I have given or what is given in the textbook, same you have to write. No, your subject name is science and technology. So make use of Google Net, make use of the different social media to get the answers related to the question, and you can form your own answers. Only logically and scientifically it should be correct. With this we complete question number 6. Now let us move towards very important question, that is scientific reasoning. Give scientific reasons for the question which decides the quality of your paper. Question number 7. Give scientific reasons for. The first one, tungsten metal is used to make a solenoid type coil in an electric bulb. Now you all know that in the case of electric bulb, the filament should be heated to a very high temperature so that more amount of light can be emitted. And why tungsten is used? Because tungsten has a very high melting point of about 3380 degrees Celsius. So it can be heated to a very high temperature. So it is used. So you can write in your own words. The very first important point is electric bulb. It works on the principle of heating effect of electric current. How you came to know? You can refer page number 48. You can see the last line of that page, heating effect of electric current. And on page number 49 you have the different devices which work on this principle, and one amongst it is electric bulb. So your very first point should be works on the principle of heating effect of electric current. So in an electric bulb, the filament of bulb has to be heated to a very high temperature, bypassing electric current through it to emit more light, and intensity of light emitted by the filament of bulb, it increases with temperature. Melting point of tungsten is very high, that is about 3380 degrees Celsius. So the filament can be heated to a very high temperature without melting, and hence the filament of an electric bulb is made of tungsten. Again, these are the points which I have given from my side. You can alter according to your knowledge. Now here a little bit confusion with the melting point of tungsten. If you check on the Google net, somewhere they have given 3422 degrees Celsius for tungsten, and if you put melting point of tungsten, is it 3380 degrees Celsius? The answer comes yes. So we will take it approximately 3380 degrees Celsius. I hope you all have followed, you all have come to know why tungsten metal is used, because if you use metals having low melting points, then when more amount of heat will pass through it, then the wire will melt and the bulb will be of no use. So as tungsten has a very high melting point, it is used to make, or it is used in an electric bulb. Let us move to the next give reason. Question number B. In the electric equipment producing heat, that is iron, electric heater, boiler, toaster, etc., an alloy such as nichrome is used, not pure metals. Means they have asked in electrical equipments like electric heater, boiler, there you use an alloy such as nichrome, but you do not use pure metals. First thing, again, as you have mentioned in the previous give reason, electric bulb works on the principle of heating effect. Here also your first point should be electrical appliances like whatever names are given in the question, iron, electric heater, boiler, toaster, etc. They make use of heating effect of electric current. Highlight heating effect of electric current. Second point, now here you will mention the advantages of using nichrome and disadvantages of pure metals. So electrical conductors having higher resistivity are used here. An alloy such as nichrome, it has high resistivity and it can be heated to a high temperature without getting oxidized. That is the biggest advantage of nichrome. It has high resistivity and it can be heated to a high temperature without getting oxidized. As compared to pure metals, they undergo oxidation at high temperature. So here you have mentioned the advantage of nichrome and disadvantage of pure metals, and hence an alloy such as nichrome is used in electric equipments like iron, toaster, etc., and not pure metals. Very simple. First point, you have mentioned that they work on the heating effect of electric current, and in the second point, the advantage of nichrome and disadvantage of pure metals in your own words again. The third one is for electric power transmission, copper or aluminium wire is used. 9th standard application again. You have studied in chapter number 3 current, electricity, conductors and insulators. Conductors, they are the substance which have low resistance and they have n number of free electrons to conduct electricity, and the example was copper and aluminium. That concept here you are going to apply. They have asked us for electricity power transmission, that is in electric circuits, why you are making use of copper or aluminium. So the first point is copper and aluminium, they possess large number of free electrons and hence are very good conductors of electricity. When you are using in electric power transmission, then whatever thing you are taking, that should be able to conduct electricity. So copper and aluminium, they have large number of free electrons, so they are good conductors. Second point, they have very low resistivity, hence very less heat is produced when current flows through these wires. Very first point, very important, is good conductors of electricity. Second, low resistivity, and hence copper or aluminium are used for making connecting wires in an electric circuit. If you see in this chapter, right from the first line up to this last line, nowhere they have mentioned about copper or aluminium, why it is used in electric circuit. So how they have correlated, how they have interconnected your last year's study year. whatever you have studied in the last year about conductors and insulators, that knowledge you have to apply in this chapter of effects of electric current. And hence it is said that your base of 9th standard should be very firm and concrete. So read the 9th standard textbook also, especially the topics which are connected with each other. That topics at least you go through. Now give reason number 4 is omitted. As you all know that it is the question based on the removed part of the syllabus. In practice, the unit kilowatt hour is used for the measurement of electrical energy. You know, on page number 49, that blue colored block, always remember that part they have removed from the syllabus. So we are not going to deal with that. Now we start with question number 8. Again an open-ended question, a type of MCQ. Just now we have seen question number 3. Same type. Which of the statement given below correctly describes the magnetic field near a long straight current carrying conductor? The first option is the magnetic lines of force are in a plane perpendicular to the conductor in the form of straight lines. Second, the magnetic lines of force are parallel to the conductor on all the sides of the conductor. Third option, the magnetic lines of force are perpendicular to the conductor going radially outward. And the fourth option is the magnetic lines of force are in concentric circles with the wire as the center. So looking at the word in the form of concentric circles, you come to know that fourth option is the correct one. Let us go to the answer. Yes, fourth one. The magnetic lines of force are in concentric circles with the wire as the center in the plane perpendicular to the conductor. So the D is the correct answer. Question number 8 gets over here. Question number 9. What is a solenoid? Compare the magnetic field produced by a solenoid with the magnetic field of a bar magnet. Draw neat figures and name the various components. Here you can directly mark the answer in your textbook. Refer page number 54. Refer page number 54. I will mark the answer for you. The answer is divided in 3 parts. First part you have to answer what is a solenoid. So you can see on page number 54, the heading is given magnetic field due to a current in a solenoid. Under that, the first point, when a copper wire with a resistive coating is wound in a chain of loops like a spring, it is called a solenoid. So first part is answered. Now you are going to compare the magnetic field produced by a solenoid with the magnetic field of a bar magnet. You know it is same. So continue marking. When an electric current passes through a solenoid, magnetic lines of force are produced. Go to the next paragraph, second line. The properties of the magnetic field of a solenoid are very similar to the magnetic field produced by a bar magnet. Here we have compared between the magnetic field by a solenoid and of a bar magnet. Go to the next paragraph. One of the open ends of a solenoid acts as the magnetic north pole and the other as the magnetic south pole. Now here your second part of the answer is completed. Now they have told draw neat figure. So the figure given in the textbook, figure 4.9, that you are going to draw and name the various components. So below this you can add something. The components which are used are, you can write about the resistive wire, you can write here, you can see battery, plug key. These are all the components which are used. A very simple answer. It can be asked in the exam for 3 marks, or either you can get the definition of solenoid, they can ask for 1 mark, or they can ask the true and false over there. So you have to be prepared with everything. Now we go to the next question. Question number 10. Name the following diagrams and explain the concept behind them. For naming you have one mark and explaining the concept you have 1 mark. So look at this figure. Looking at it, you come to know it is Fleming's right hand rule. Immediately you have to write what this rule is used for. This rule is used to find the direction of induced current. For the marking of the answer, refer page number 58. Clearly the heading is given Fleming's right hand rule. There you can see on the 5th line they have mentioned, in order to show the direction of the induced current, Fleming's right hand rule is very useful. So that you are going to mention as the second point, because they have not only asked us name the following diagram and define them or explain them. They have asked explain the concept behind them. So the main theme of the concept is this rule is used to find the direction of induced current. Do not directly start with the writing part of the rule. If such type of questions are asked, do not draw the diagram, because you have to identify what is given in the diagram. So drawing of the diagram is not necessary. Now you can start writing the rule. Mark on page number 58. You can see clearly the heading, Fleming's right hand rule. Their seventh line, stretch the thumb, the index finger and the middle finger in such a way that they will be perpendicular to each other. In this position, the thumb indicates the direction of motion of the conductor, the index finger the direction of the magnetic field, and the middle finger shows the direction of induced current. This rule is known as Fleming's right hand rule. Whatever part I have marked in red color, that you have to mark in the exam with the pencil. Next diagram is very simple. Again, I won't explain. Here looking at the figure B, it is Fleming's left hand rule. Then you know this rule is used to find the direction of force on the conductor. For the marking of the rule, refer page number 55. Page number 55, you can see in the center of the page Fleming's left hand rule. There, 8th line. According to this rule, the left hand thumb, index finger and the middle finger are stretched so as to be perpendicular to each other. If the index finger is in the direction of the magnetic field and the middle finger points in the direction of the current, then the direction of the thumb is the direction of the force on the conductor. It can be asked in the exam for 2 marks each or even for 3 marks, because explanation of the concept is there. So 1 mark for identifying the diagram, 2nd mark for the theme, and the 3rd mark your actual rule. Question number 11. Identify the figures and explain their use. Now out of the 3 figures, we are only going to take the first one. B and C is omitted, because B you can see it is a MCB and that part is removed from the syllabus on page number 50. That pink colored block, do you know about MCB, they have removed, and C is nothing but DC generator. So DC generator concept also they have removed. So only the A1 we are going to see. Identify the figure. Look at this figure. What it is? It is a cartridge fuse. So you have to identify it is a cartridge fuse and explain its use. You all know the use of a fuse. It is a safety device which prevents your electrical appliances. So immediately you will write its use. Fuse is a safety device which prevents the electrical appliances from getting burnt by restricting the excess amount of current flowing through the circuit. Now this use I have mentioned from my side. Any other use of fuse, you can write it on your own. Only identification is a must. So the textual questions are over. Now before we start with the numerical examples, 2 or 3 additional questions are there in this chapter. I will discuss that today, and in the next session I will solve the 4 numerical examples and we will start with the new chapter. In this chapter solved examples I have already taken when the chapter was explained to you. So the textual numericals that I will take up in the next session. Now the additional questions, 3 additional questions are there. Refer page number 48 for the first additional question. With the help of a circuit diagram, derive Joule's law of heating. With the help of a circuit diagram, derive Joule's law of heating. Here in the exam, they might not ask you the question in this way, but this derivation which is there, some parts they can mention blank. They can keep it blank and you have to complete that derivation. So you should know it thoroughly. Mark it on page number 48. You can see the circuit diagram, that is figure 4.2 that you can draw, and below the heading use your brain power, you have the derivation. P is electrical power which is equal to VQ upon T. Q upon T is equal to I. So H is equal to P multiplied by T. That is, what is P? V multiplied by I multiplied by T. Application of Ohm's law. V is equal to I into R. H is equal to V square into T upon R. Similarly, H is what? I into R into T, that is I square RT, and that is known as Joule's law of heating. So right from P is equal to electrical power up to Joule's law of heating, you have to directly mark in the textbook, and figure I have already told you, it is figure 4.2. Prepare this derivation, they can ask in the exam. Next additional question, there are two definitions. The first one, define electromagnetic induction. This concept is given in your textbook on page number 56, the last paragraph. Only definition can be asked in the exam. The definition I have written here in a very simple way. The process by which a changing magnetic field in a conductor induces a current in another conductor is called electromagnetic induction. And the last additional question is, state Faraday's law of induction. For the marking of this answer, refer page number 58, second paragraph. You can clearly see the heading Faraday's law of induction. Page number 58, second paragraph, Faraday's law of induction. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh line. Seventh line, you have the law. Whenever the number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil changes, current is induced in the coil. This is known as Faraday's law of induction. The current produced in the coil is called the induced current. So we will wind up with our today's session. Today we have completed with the discussion of all the textual questions for this chapter, and also the additional questions are provided. In the next session, the 4 numerical examples, textual numericals which are remaining, first I will take up that. Then I will see if there are any activities to be discussed for this chapter. Otherwise, we will start with a new chapter, chapter number 5, heat. Till then, I request all of you to see that your notebooks are completed, reading, understanding the concepts, and study is going on from time to time. Thank you, dear children.